Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to watch the video today. I always really appreciate that. And guys, today got a good video for y'all. We're going to be talking about the difference in fishing the chatterbait during the fall time of the year versus the springtime. Completely different world, different colors, different profiles, different retrieves, different type of areas. And I think a lot of people are really not familiar with the seasonal changes that occur with the chatterbait as far as how the fish prefer, certain styles and that type of deal. So we're going to get into that in today's video. I think it might add up to some good success for you guys over the month of October and November. Also, guys, a quick invitation. I don't know if you guys heard me talking about it a couple weeks ago, but I'm working with Tackle Warehouse now on my own page called Blaukats Corner. And what this is every month, I give the monthly suggestions on which lures work the best that particular month. Plus there's a correlating video to how to fish each lure I talk about. So I'll put my Blaukats Corner Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to check that out. Much appreciated. Okay guys, first of all, I'm gonna rig up the difference. We're gonna talk about profiles of the bait, colors, and then the type of areas in correlation with the differences between fall and spring, and sort of explain to you why you need to make those adjustments to maximize the success you have on it. So first of all, let's rig up, what is a really good chatterbait for the springtime of the year. Now, most of the time in the springtime, I like to use some type of a darker color, like something that resembles a crawfish, some type of a green pumpkin with the type of an orange with a fairly large trailer on it. This is that new Zoom swimmer, guys. And also I'll link all of my chatterbait setup in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. If you guys would like to get some chatterbaits and trailers, I'll put everything in the link in the description here. But this is like the setup that I'll use a lot of times in the springtime of the year. Some combination of brown, green, oranges, something to look like a crawdad. That just works better for me. In the summertime of the year, I go to a lot of perch patterns like chartreuses and oranges and greens, but in the spring, this is how I set it up. Now we'll talk a little bit about the differences between the two, and then I'm gonna show you how I set it up for the fall time. Now for the fall time, I do a little bit different. I use the same trailer, the Zoom swimmer here. Guys, this thing is the best chatterbait trailer you'll ever use. They just came out with it last year. I'll link that in the description too. But I'm taking the same chatterbait in some type of a shad pattern. What you're gonna find in general is the bass prefer more shad patterns on the chatterbait during the fall time of the year. They prefer more of a crawdad or a darker color in the spring. So I'm going to some type of a shad pattern. White, this has got some barbed wire here, a little bit of chartreuse on it, something translucently shad looking. And then I'm going to cut the skirt back pretty short on this thing. This is the big key difference, and I'll show you when I get it in here. I usually like to cut it back just about, pretty short. A lot of people don't cut it up about like that. And then I'm going to take the same Zoom swimmer here, and I'm going to cut off about 1 inch of it or so. This is going to make the bait quite a bit smaller, and I'll show you why here. Then we're going to thread that on through there. So you got this little bitty tidbait bit here. Now look at that little thing, guys. A little bitty tidbait, small little shad looking profile. Now this is the same chatterbait and the same trailer. All I've done is put a different, I cut it down a little bit in a different color. Now what you're gonna find out here, this is like this little bitty tidbit. This is like a 2.5 or 3 inch bait, the way this is right here. In the fall time of the year, one of the biggest things you need to remember is bass love smaller lures. You're gonna get a ton more bites with small lures in the fall time of the year versus you will in the spring. During the spring, especially during the pre-spawn, when the water temperature's in the 50s, they like larger lures because most of the prey is larger. It's like the shad are mature, crawdads are bigger, they haven't spawned out yet. They're hungrier, getting ready to build up their protein, to build their egg sacs, so they like larger lures in the spring. Fall time of the year, not so much. I do a lot better on smaller baits because you have a lot of really small shad in the fall time of the year because the shad have spawned throughout the summer. They spawn 3 or 4 times, throughout the summer, and there's a lot of small shad in the lake, just about this size. So the first thing I do is I'm downsizing, making this little bitty tidbit bite of a chatterbait in the shad pattern. Now the next things with it is the areas that you fish and how you fish it as far as the retrieve. When I'm fishing a full-size, or crawdad pattern chatterbait in the pre-spawn, I'm slow rolling it. And I'm usually slow rolling it around more steeper type banks. So a prime example is I'll be down like a channel bank, water temperature is 55 degrees. There may be a lay down tree or something in the water or just a rocky bank. I'll throw that chatterbait out there and I'll just slow roll it. I'll try to keep it maybe 3 to 4 feet under the water column. Sometimes I'll just crawl it right off the bottom. If it's a grass lake, I'll actually let it hit the bottom and I'll pump it up off the bottom. But I'm slow rolling that chatterbait during the pre-spawn time of the year. Now the big difference is in the fall time of the year, you want to fish this chatterbait fast. You want to burn it almost and create a reaction strike. So let's say, for example, I go down that same channel bank that I fished in the springtime by slow rolling the bigger chatterbait. In the fall time of the year, I'll go on that same bank and say I see that lay down tree. I'll throw this chatterbait out there and I'll sort of burn it faster, just about 3 or 4 inches underneath the surface. Maybe sometimes let it drop down a foot or two, but I'm reeling it at a medium fast pace coming through there, trying to trigger that reaction strike. So the mood and the personality of the bass require this. You're talking about the mood and the personality of the bass not really wanting to come up on a bait quite as much during the pre-spawn, but in the fall time of the year, bass tend to want to feed up high. In other words, they want to come up on baits more in the fall time than during the spring, especially on days where you got some clouds or wind or rain. So it doesn't matter what type of target I'm fishing with the little chatterbait in the fall time of the year. If I'm fishing a rocky bank that's got some wind on it, if I'm fishing it next to a dock corner, if I'm fishing it through some shallow lily pads, whatever the cover is, I'm keeping that chatterbait shallow under the water and burning it at a pretty medium to fast retrieve, trying to generate that reaction strike and trying to get the fish to come up on that bait. So that's the big difference, guys. A lot of people don't key in on. Biggest recommendation, downsize your chatterbaits, go to a little small size. You can use the same bait. These are actually jackhammers here, guys. I do use the original chatterbait most of the time, but these are just the ones I had the skirts on for an example here. But it doesn't matter what you use, what brands you use. It's the same thing. You can still create them the same deal. But anyway, guys, that'll give you some good success on there. If I could give you guys one thing that will work in the fall time of the year on a chatterbait, set up the little, downsize bait like I'm talking about. Get out there early in the morning or on a cloudy day and find some main lake rocky points that have some wind coming on it. Now, best thing to do is right off the bat in the morning, when you got low light conditions and shade, or it'll work all day long on a cloudy, rainy day. If you got water visibility of like 3 to 4 foot, some fairly clear water, take that chatterbait out there and throw it on that low light, windy point or windy bank and burn that chatterbait just 3 or 4 or 5 inches under the surface. Guys, will take that rod out of your hand a lot of times. So look for wind, look for shallow structure, increase your speed of retrieve, downsize your bait, and catch a lot more fish in the fall. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk to you later.